Hello, my name is Michael Twery. I'm Director of the National Center on Sleep Disorders Research, an office within the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute at the NIH. I'm joined today by Miroslaw Mackiewicz at the National Institute on Aging and Janet He at the National Institute on Neurological Disorders and Stroke. We're delighted to have been invited by the Sleep Research Society to make this webinar presentation today. I'll start with an overview and background on the National Center on Sleep Disorders Research, then answer some of the questions we've received from the Sleep Research Society about research during the COVID-19 period. Then we'll hear from Drs. Mackiewicz and He. As you may know, the center originated out of the activities of concerned sleep researchers and practitioners talking to the nation, talking to Congress. Congress established the National Commission on Sleep Disorders Research in the 1990s. That commission toured the United States and published a report on how insufficient sleep was affecting the health of the nation. That led to a law in 1993 that required the NIH to establish the National Center on Sleep Disorders Research in the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. Today, the core of the National Center activities extend beyond the National Heart, Lung, Blood Institute. There's the Trans-NIH Sleep Research Coordinating Committee. Our office, the center, has monthly conference calls with many other institutes and funding components and offices of the NIH. We also interact with other parts of the federal government, including the Department of Transportation components, the Department of Defense, NASA, and other groups. This group largely represents the importance of sleep and circadian function to performance and safety. A future objective is to gain recognition of how sleep and circadian biology are so important to health and human services outcomes. We have close communication with the Office of Women's Health, several CDC components, Healthy People 2030, and we are working on other areas of connection with DHHS. Since the center was established, funding for sleep and circadian research across the entire NIH has increased steadily, and after 25 years, totals over $3 billion. You can learn more about the details and examples and activities of the National Center in an article that was published in the June 2019 issue of the journal Sleep. In advance of this webinar, the Sleep Research Society solicited questions about the grants process from its members, and we received 6 of those questions to be answered. The first question concerns, will there be RFAs, special funding opportunities, that specifically link sleep and circadian research to COVID-19? So NIH and its funding components have been struggling with how to deal with the challenges of the pandemic and from a biomedical research perspective. And out of that discussion, we do not expect that the NIH will, at this point in time, initially announce FOAs, funding opportunities that target a very narrow slice of all the possible approaches and contributions to be studied. Rather, the NIH and its component institutes have announced a constellation of generic FOAs. And by generic, we mean that these FOAs are generally open to the many research possibilities. And all of this information and all these FOAs are listed on the website, grants.nih.gov, policy, natural disasters, coronavirus. And the graphics on the right side of this page are some screenshots just to give you an idea of the many lines, the many initiatives that are available to look at. Some examples include one study that's looking at underserved populations. Here they aim to reduce COVID-19 associated morbidity and mortality disparities in the vulnerable and underserved populations. Another example is the NIH Director's Emergency Transformative Research Program. This program is funded by a special act of Congress under the CARES Act, and it's seeking groundbreaking, exceptionally innovative applications. Question number 2, are there time-sensitive funding opportunities for COVID-related follow-up of existing sleep-related cohorts for which the R01 funding has been completed? In this fiscal year 2020, I do not anticipate that there will be many opportunities to compete for additional funding to an existing cohort where the R01 funding has been completed. But that's not the only avenue available. You might, if you have such a research resource, an existing cohort, you could consider submitting a new grant application for new funding, either through the regular grant competition or through the constellation of COVID FOAs that are open to many research possibilities. Again, the COVID website will provide you a list of all these possibilities that are available today. And if there are cohort opportunities, they'll be posted on this website in the future. One example of an FOA where having an existing cohort might be advantageous is one on biopsychosocial factors of social connectedness and isolation. Clearly, having a cohort in hand to study for which you already have base demographics might be seen as a strength for a COVID-related application. Question number 3, what is the NIH position with regard to funding sleep research that involves asymptomatic COVID-19 cases, particularly before middle age? NIH has not taken a position that pre-specifies what kind of research should be done. The purpose of each of the FOAs on the website list will vary. For example, there's the research on the biopsychosocial factors. There's no pre-specified population that should be studied. There's another FOA on biological effects on the nervous system. Again, no pre-specified population. It's your burden of the applicant to convey the urgency, need, and opportunity, the potential impact. These must be explained and for the regular peer review competition process. Question number 4, is there funding for research that examines daily ultraradian behavioral rhythms during shelter in place and the impact on subjective motivation and objective effort? Well, the answer is maybe. New grant applications can be submitted in the regular grant competition or via the constellation of COVID FOAs that are open to many research possibilities and opportunities. As the applicant, can you make the case to peer review that there is an important opportunity here and a priority for consideration? Again, the website lists all the COVID opportunities, and then you have the regular grant competition. Some examples where this might fit, this particular topic, daily behavioral rhythms, might be research on biopsychosocial factors, a specific COVID-related RFA, PAR, and then there's the biological effects on the nervous system. What is the basic underlying neurobiology of the importance of this question? Question number 5. How will COVID-19 affect other non-COVID related grant applications? Well, question 5 is a bit complicated. Each of the over 27 NIH funding components will decide individually how to allocate their resources for this fiscal year among all the scientific competing priorities that they have to address. Here at the Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, no changes are anticipated in the published percentile pay line, currently 16 for the R01. But again, how this is going to play out will depend on how an institute determines to address their COVID priorities and whether that will affect funding plans. So question 5 about funding is an opportunity to point out that sleep and circadian sciences are being supported NIH-wide. There's over 27 funding components. And in this graph, the number of grants, active and funded, at each of those institutes from between the years 2015 and 2018 is plotted. This includes all grant mechanisms. It includes training, it includes careers, it includes conference grants and research projects. It includes the grants awarded to universities through the extramural research program, as well as NIH intramural research, the researchers who are supported are employed by the NIH. The amount of research in each institute varies and is shaped in part by the momentum of the science. So there are areas in which we have a lot of research going on right now: heart, lung, blood, neurology, aging, mental health, and general medicine, NIGMS, as well as child health, and the Diabetes Institute. There are institutes where there is a lower level of funding, and perhaps some of these sciences, whether it be nursing research or cancer, alcohol, drug abuse, Eye Institute, environmental health sciences, integrative health, minority health, and others represent potential future directions and opportunities for growth in the sleep and circadian field. Question number 6. What will be the expectation of preliminary data in grant submissions related to the COVID-19 programs? Well, funding decisions are made by institutes, but the scientific merit of each application, all applications funded by the NIH, is established by the peer review process. And in the peer review process, not all questions are equal. And this is where the importance of preliminary data may have an important role. How much is the preliminary data needed? And the factors that often figure into the competition include how the reviewers see the research framework as relevant to medicine, whether the question is intuitive and compelling and transparent, what needs to be done, timeliness, why do this now, well focused, and then confidence and certainty among reviewers about the impact that knowledge and understanding will have on disease risk, etiology, or treatment. These factors enter into the question of how much do you need that preliminary data. So I hope that this information has been helpful. In closing, I'd like to leave you with 2 bits of information, reminders. One is that the NIH has a central website for posting, where it posts the information about COVID-related funding opportunities and any policy flexibility that the NIH is offering with regard to the COVID crisis and pandemic. Another piece of information is that the National Center on Sleep Disorders Research operates a listserv, Sleep RFA-L. Feel free to subscribe on the website, and we will be posting information there throughout the year when it's available regarding funding opportunities and activities, conferences, workshops, meetings that are government sponsored and would be of specific interest to this community. Finally, please keep in mind that your best source of information is the program officer. Contact your program officer. If you don't have a program officer and you need to find one at the NIH, feel free to contact NCSDR at ncsdr@nih.gov. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a good day.
Hi, I'm Mackiewicz. I'm Program Officer in the Division of Neuroscience, National Institute on Aging. I'm responsible for a portfolio of grants on integrative neurobiology, sleep and biorhythms. I divided this brief presentation into two parts. In part one, I will outline how NIA is responding to rapidly evolving situation in COVID-19 pandemic. In part two, I will describe the NIA interest in sleep and circadian clock research. As Dr. Richard Hodges, the NIA director, pointed out in his blog post, we want to let the NIA community know that much needed help and flexibility is already in motion as you are feeling the impact in your labs and clinical trials. Although the coronavirus pandemic has changed business as usual for scientists, it has not changed our mission. With older adults among the most susceptible to COVID-19, NIA is working to roll out new funding opportunities for research on the virus as rapidly as possible. Through these notices of special interest, NIA aims to address the public health need to better understand COVID-19, particularly to improve prevention of disease transmission among older adults. The application period is now open and submission will be accepted through May 1st, 2021. Researchers who want to apply are strongly encouraged to contact and discuss their proposed approach with the appropriate NIA program staff listed in the notices. Also, don't forget to keep looking at the NIH funding opportunities specific to COVID-19. Please pay close attention to announcements from other NIH institutes, as NIA may be signed onto their initiatives. You can learn more about the COVID-19 notices of special interest in this Inside NIA blog post. Please note that NIH has an excellent website on coronavirus. NIH also hosts a helpful frequently asked question page on COVID-19. NIH has also issued guidance for institutions to ensure the safety of human participants and research staff in NIH-funded clinical trials and human subject studies. Grantees with specific questions should reach out directly to their NIA program officers. We are committed to responding as rapidly as possible as we transition to working and meeting online. Above all, this is a time for resilience and perseverance, and we are all in this together. Please keep in touch with your NIA program officer, your IRB, and your institution as plans and policies evolve. National Institute on Aging has a long history of supporting sleep and clock research. I'm happy to report that our portfolio of grants on sleep and circadian clock is growing rapidly. The next 4 slides provide examples of research interest in sleep and clock across all 4 NIA divisions. I will not comment on these slides as they are self-explanatory. There are several currently active funding opportunity announcements from NIH, or in which NIH participates specifically targeting sleep and circadian clock research. For example, PAR 18497 on sleep disorders and circadian clock disruption in Alzheimer's disease and other dementias of aging. Or PAR 20164 on mechanisms and consequences of sleep disparities in the US. I would like to point out that many NIH announcements, which are not sleep or clock specific, still solicit sleep and clock research. PAR 19070 is a good example. There are more than a dozen notices under the umbrella of this PAR. For example, notice on understanding Alzheimer's disease in the context of the aging brain solicit research on the integrated physiology of sleep in aging and whether disruption of sleep and/or circadian clock accelerates brain aging and Alzheimer's disease. Here is another example of notice which solicits sleep and clock research under the umbrella of PAR 19070. All of us here at NIH are eager to receive your applications, learn more about your ideas, and get started supporting your work. Please, let's keep in touch. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Janet He, and I'm the Program Director for the Sleep and Circadian Research Portfolio at NINDS, the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke. Thanks to the organizers for the invitation, and I'm delighted to provide a quick update of NINDS funding during COVID-19. And also, I will provide an overview of the current funding on sleep research by NINDS. As we all know, COVID-19 is a rapidly evolving situation. Because patient care and researcher safety is the first priority, NIH is providing many administrative flexibilities to help the research continue. Please visit our website and check back often for updates. While NINDS did not receive any COVID-19 specific funding, NINDS is interested in finding out the many unanswered important questions regarding neurological effect of COVID-19. So NINDS issued 2 notices, Notice of Special Interest regarding the availability of administrative supplements and urgent competitive revisions. So if your research proposed is fully within the scope of the original grant, then you should apply through administrative supplement. If the research proposed is to expand the scope of their active grant, then you should apply through urgent competitive revisions. The first notice NINDS issued is NS 20-046. It is for the establishment and the maintenance of a research database for neurological manifestations of the SARS-CoV-2. It expired in May. So NINDS is currently reviewing the applications received, and a funding decision will be made soon. Subsequently, NINDS issued another notice, NS-20-51, for the research on biological effects of the 2019 novel coronavirus on the nervous system. Because this notice is still active, I will highlight a few features of the notice. First of all, the proposed research must be aimed at addressing the biology, pathophysiology, prevention, diagnosis, sequelae, or the treatment of the 2019 novel coronavirus that are directly related to the NINDS mission, which means that the proposed research project must fall within the NINDS mission, and the NOC is only for supplements revisions that are addressing the urgent need for research on potential neurological effect of COVID-19. So if the proposed research project does not address a time-sensitive question and or unique opportunity in this context, it may not meet the intent of the NOC, and researchers should consider applying it with a new application through the standard submission process and peer review rather than applying through these NOCs. Also, the project period for the supplement must not exceed 1 year, and the application budget may not exceed 200K direct cost. The applications will be accepted on a rolling basis with an expiration date of April 15, 2021. They will be reviewed competitively on a rolling basis, and the funding decision will be made in a timely fashion. So if you are interested in applying through the NOC, please read the instruction carefully and apply. Again, because this COVID-19 is an emerging, rapidly evolving situation, please stay informed by checking the website. The NINDS Communication Office is working on setting up a NINDS specific COVID-19 page, and hopefully we will have the NOC information along with FAQs on the website very soon. So what is NINDS mission, and what kind of sleep research does NINDS fund? So the NINDS mission is to seek fundamental knowledge about the brain and nervous system, and to use that knowledge to reduce the burden of neurological disease. As such, NINDS funds research on neuroregulation of sleep and circadian rhythms, and the impact of sleep and circadian regulation on the nervous system in health and disease. And the sleep research NINDS funds include basic, translational, all the way to clinical research. Aside from the COVID-19 funding opportunities and the standard FOAs for R01s and other mechanisms, I would like to highlight a few other funding opportunities that sleep researchers can take advantage of. As Mac has already mentioned, NINDS is working with NIA in the AD-ADRD realm. So these are for the Alzheimer's disease and Alzheimer's disease related dementia sleep research. So NIA and NINDS has issued several FOAs, a great number of FOAs, including administrative supplements. And NINDS and NIA share the same payline for investigator-initiated R01 and R21 AD-ADRD applications. And sleep researchers have been taking advantage of these FOAs and the special paylines. The next two are big initiatives, BRAIN Initiative and the HALE Initiative, that involves many NIH ICs. The BRAIN Initiative stands for Brain Research through Advancing Innovative Neurotechnologies, and HALE stands for Helping to End Addiction Long Term. So also sleep researchers have been funded through BRAIN and HALE initiatives. Recently, NCCIH has issued two PAs on the mechanisms underlying the contributions of sleep disturbances to pain. NINDS joined along with NHLBI, NCI, NIA, and a few other institutes. Finally, I would like to bring your attention to a recent PAR that NINDS joined. It's on the mechanisms and the consequences of sleep disparities in the US, and clinical trials are not allowed. This is led by the National Institute on Minority Health and Disparity, along with NINDS, NCI, NHLBI, NIA, and NIAAA. So if you are interested in applying to any of these initiatives, please read the instruction carefully, and good luck. Thank you, everybody, and stay healthy and safe.